Hi everyone and welcome back. I hope you enjoyed some time with the employers over at the booth. So now we're joined by Sage. So me right now has got Victoria and Lisa, but there'll be some other people joining as we go throughout the presentation. And here we're going to get some insight into what the life of a graduate will be or is like at Sage. And also we're going to hear about how one of the managers there really progressed up their way up the ladder and get some hints and tips there. So it should be really insightful for you all. So Victoria, over to yourself.
Thank you very much, and I'm sure you'll all be pleased to know that you won't be hearing too much from me. We're going to pass you over to some graduates and, of course, our diversity and inclusion specialists also, and Heather. My name is Victoria. The reason I'm here today is to let you know a little bit about the graduate intern roles that are coming up next year. I have a degree in English literature, and I now work as the Early Careers Talent Acquisition Partner, which means that I really enjoy helping people like you get into roles at Sage. We're also going to hear from Emmanuel and also from Valerie, Heather and Nigel, and they will tell you a little bit more about themselves as they introduce themselves. As I said, you're going to hear from the others shortly, and you know who I am by now. Who are Sage, though? Sage are a software company providing accounting, finance, people and payroll solutions to small and medium businesses, accountants and partners. What does that mean? Well, that means that we basically provide everything that a business needs, small and medium businesses, to thrive in the industry. As I said, I'm not going to harp on too much about my role, but we do open our graduate and intern roles in February, and I'd be absolutely delighted to hear from you. And of course, if you want to add us on LinkedIn in between now and then, we can keep you updated on what's going to go live. If you do apply, you'll apply on the Sage Careers website online. Then you'll be presented with a video interview, which is not too scary, I promise, only 5 short questions. You'll then go to an assessment centre, which we're holding virtually. Even now, we're kind of back to normal. And then if you are successful, you get a call from myself or one of the team letting you know that you're going to be starting October the 3rd. And then you have a wonderful onboarding week, again, with myself and team. If you do require any reasonable adjustments at the video interview or assessment centre stage, we will be super happy to help. So I'm going to pass you over now. Actually, no, before we do that, let's have a look at some of the graduates and apprentices welcoming them in the Newcastle office. There was a lot of donuts used as bribery to get these pictures, and we had their consent to use them. So, yeah, you can see some of the new cohort for this year. And I think now we're going to pass you over to Emmanuel. Emmanuel, are you there?
Oh, hello. I'm guessing I have to introduce myself. Hi, my name is Emmanuel. I am a graduate engineer at Sage People. I'm also a computer science graduate. So a lot of stuff about me. So I began my journey as an engineer, wanted to be an engineer during uni. I attended the University of Brighton. Then I ended up changing for personal reasons and went to Birmingham City University. During my second year uni, I realized that I wanted to become more skilled as a developer. So I was applying for placement, in industry work, and I ended up finding Sage, which was a wonderful opportunity. So I started at Sage in 2019 as a placement student. And then once I graduated, I got a message saying that they would like me back as a graduate engineer. And that was going to start around October. But since I had all the spare time, I was like, you know what, I kind of still want to work there. So they offered me an internship while I was waiting for my grad scheme, which is my current position as a grad. A lot of background about myself. I'm born and raised in East London. I come from a single parent household, Nigerian family. I have my undergrad at computer science. I'm also an avid gym goer and lover. Like I said before, I graduated Birmingham City University and studied computer science. My past experience wasn't necessarily based in computer science. I worked retail jobs. I worked as a club promoter during uni. I also worked as a personal trainer during uni until I got my placement year and my internship, where I'm currently a software engineer at Sage People. So a day in the life of like a software engineer and specifically a grad engineer is that you have so much flexibility to actually learn stuff and do stuff. So if there's different things you're interested in, different types of skills, different types of technology, you always have that freedom to explore it. So there's constant learning and there's constant teaching. There's always improvement. It's a very big collaborative venture where you can get help from any senior member, even other grads. If you're stuck, you always have someone to help you. You can always share different ideas, new approaches, and it's just a strong community of graduates that come. So my normal start off days is usually I work from home. So I would wake up, get a coffee, attend my morning stand-up meetings, which is where we all go through our day, have some breakfast, and go work on the task I'm probably working on for the day. Then I attend like any pre-booked meetings and stuff that I might have. And then I go back to work, look at the code I'm writing, get kind of stressed out because what I did or wanted to do isn't working like how I thought it would. Check it with my manager, try again, get a little bit more stressed out, and then hopefully finish the work. But then I check in with my mentors and my managers. They see how I'm doing. We have like normal informal chats and we have some formal chats too.
And yeah, hi everyone, welcome. My name is Goodness Valerie Odion. I am a graduate project analyst here at Sage. I am Nigerian and I have been in the UK since 2015. I came here for my studies, and in the past 6 years, I did an undergraduate degree for 4 years in electrical and electronics engineering, and I've also done a master's degree for a year in control and instrumentation engineering. With that, I started working at Sage in October 2020, and I work in the Newcastle office. So I am 1 year into my graduate program here at Sage. So with that, a day in the life of a grad comprises of the following, which are at 8:30 a.m., I get ready for work, and I arrive at the Sage office in Cobalt Park in Newcastle upon Tyne, and there I try to find a seat on the third floor of product overlooking the motorway, and this place is particularly sunny, so this is particularly my favorite place in the office to sit, as you can see. Following from that, with the Newcastle office as well, we also have great shiny offices in Winnish, Dublin, Manchester, and London, and that's also like good places for other graduates that also work at Sage. With that, continuation of my day at Sage from 8:30 a.m. to 9 a.m. because I start at 9. I switch on my monitors in the office and I get my emails sorted and sent out and get ready for my morning meetings. And this is like my workstation desk. And after that, once it's 9 a.m. to 10:30 a.m., I get on with work, which comprises of like meeting my manager, some graduate work, some personal tasks, from some development work, and I just get cracking with work generally. Then 10:30 a.m., this is like half time to lunch period, and I go down for a short coffee break, and I head to Starbucks where we have a discount coffee, and I get myself a caramel macchiato because that's like my go-to drink. And then from 10:45 a.m. to 12 p.m., I get back to work at my desk and get to the office for work. And actually, the other day I saw this really cool rainbow, and it was a double rainbow, and I just had to take a picture and use it for this presentation. Following from that, from 12 p.m. to 1 p.m., I go get my lunch, and I also use this time to like meet up with like my colleagues, my managers, and I just have like general lunch with them. And 1 p.m. to 5 p.m., I just get on with continuous tasks that I'm meant to do on work. And I could also like get on with meetings or team meetings or like just deal with other colleagues from different organizations. And this is just like a team meeting with my personal team here at Sage. And then once it's 5 p.m., I start getting ready to head home. And I just took this candid photo like next to like the Sage sign and next to the office saying, "Bye office, I'm heading home now." And yeah, thank you.
Brilliant. Thanks, Valerie. Hi, everyone. My name's Heather. My pronouns are she, her, and I'm an experienced design manager at Sage. I manage a team of about 10 people, and we design and optimize the Sage.com website globally. I've been at Sage for just over a year, but I've been kind of managers in various different kind of roles across different companies. Alongside my main role at Sage, I'm also co-lead of the Pride CSN. So I work directly to kind of make a positive contribution to diversity, equity and inclusion. And I know my colleague Nigel is going to be saying a bit more about that shortly. In terms of my experience at uni, I graduated in 2007 with a degree in graphic design from LCC, which is part of University of the Arts in London. So what I've tried to do is sort of consolidate my experience from graduate to management through 5 key bits of advice. Starting with, set yourself goals. Now, some of you, whilst you're at uni, you might have a clear idea about what you want to do as a career, and some of you might not. And that's okay. I mean, when I was at uni, I thought I had an idea and it sort of evolved and it changed and it can be quite daunting, but don't worry too much. My advice would be, it's really important to start somewhere and work out naturally what you're good at through just kind of doing a job and working your way through. I would really recommend thinking about goals in your life, and not just goals in terms of what you want to do from work, but actually what do you want to achieve in your life and how can your job help to facilitate that? It might be a really small goal, it might be a big goal, it might be both, and they can and will evolve over time. When I left uni, I was actually living with my mum at the time. I was thinking, right, well, first step, I want to kind of move out. Really, really simple. Let's think about how much money I'm going to need for rent, etc. Managed to get myself a job as studio manager in a design agency. And I was doing a kind of bit of everything for that company, and I learned a huge amount, and it gave me a really good grounding to understand what I'm good at, what I'm not good at, and it kind of set me on my career path, and I never looked back. Bigger than that, I knew that in my life I wanted to have children and I wanted to own a house, so it was important for me to sort of save money as I went. And then as I was kind of in my career in my 20s, I knew I wanted to travel as well. So thinking about that, how can I use my work life to facilitate traveling? That led me to freelancing, and I was thinking about, how can I earn more money but have the flexibility of time? So it's kind of about, making your career work for you within your life. Second bit of advice is about bringing your full self to the workplace. And this is something that, I've probably learned the hard way in my career, and I'm probably kind of still evolving on this. As a Black woman, and I'm in a same-sex relationship as well, I think early on in my career, I was probably quite closed off about aspects of my life and my identity. And what I've learned is that you can only really achieve your best if you bring your full self to the workplace. And that includes your racial identity as well. The best companies and bosses will celebrate you as an individual, your personality and your identity and everything that brings. So it's important to work somewhere that really reflects that and works for you. When it comes to race in particular, a lot of companies are much better now at kind of diversity, which is brilliant. But it's often kind of lent towards kind of lower end jobs, maybe entry level jobs. And the sad truth is that as you get kind of higher up in companies, sometimes, it's that racial diversity kind of can be slightly diluted. Now, there's a couple of ways to take that. For me, I take it as a challenge. Can I be the first Black female senior leader in this company? And, as a sort of person of colour, it's not our responsibility to fix a company's inclusion culture, although you can obviously make positive contributions to it. But how can you spin things up as a positive for an opportunity for your own personal growth? And so it's something to sort of keep in mind in your work. My third bit of advice. Everyone you meet through work will become a valuable contact to you. It's, as I was thinking about this one, I was really thinking, I'm actually in regular contact with people from every job that I've been in, even the first job out of uni. And they have all been really useful to me through my career. LinkedIn is an amazing resource. Use it. Add everyone that you work with on there because it's a great resource. The nature of the work that I've been in is I've moved companies a lot through freelancing, all sorts of things. And every single new job that I've got has been through a connection. So whether it's an old work colleague, whether it's a recruiter that I've got a good relationship with, it's all been through that connection. So, harness that because it's very powerful to you and your growth. The next one is around self-reflection. Always self-reflect, always challenge yourself. And this really ties back to this idea of life goals. So it's really important to constantly think, if you've been in a job for a while, make sure you're reflecting on how you're doing in that job and how that job is helping you to fulfill or lead up to your goals. Are you building skills? Are you on track for promotion? If not, ask that of your line manager, ask for training, ask for a progression plan. Some companies are good at doing this anyway. Sage are particularly good. There's regular performance reviews. Very, very hot on this, as a big company. If you end up working in smaller companies, they can be kind of lighter on this, might not have HR departments, for example. So a lot of this is kind of, it's important to be self-initiated when it comes to personal growth. Just think about how each job is a kind of, or not necessarily each job, but actually each role you have, and as you grow in your career, how that is a stepping stone towards what you want to achieve personally. And as part of that, it's really important to know your own worth as well. Research salaries. Glassdoor is a great resource. And negotiate, have those difficult conversations, because that's what's going to lead you to where you need to be. And lastly, overall, you can do anything. Now, this is a kind of mantra that was really instilled to me by my own parents from a young age, and something I've carried on through. And I really do believe this, that, if you work hard enough, if you set your sights high, you can achieve. So please believe in yourself, take all opportunities, and feel empowered to be in control of your own life. And that's it from me. I hope, that's kind of useful advice. And these are things that I would have loved to hear when I was at uni. So I hope that gives you a little bit of a good starting point as you lead into your career. Thank you.
Wow, I don't know how to follow up with that, Heather. Thanks for sharing all the updates and things that you have been doing at Sage, and also Valerie for sharing the wonderful experience that you had so far. Valerie, welcome to Sage. My name is Nigel. I'm the manager D&I, Diversity, Equity and Inclusion, and I work in Newcastle office, and I've been at Sage for the last 5 years now. Time flies. And looking at the experience of the people you have already just heard, Heather, Valerie, and Emmanuel, you can reflect the kind of culture we are bringing in the organization, the team, and the talent that we have from the diverse background. And this is what we in the Diversity, Equity, Inclusion team and the Colleague Success Networks, which you would know better as employee resource groups, do at Sage. And we work as one team, as one Sage, as a family. We try to be inclusive as much as we can in our approach, right from the attraction and the culture building, and we try to embrace diversity in all kind of forms and shape. Our ambition is to reflect diversity in customers. We have millions of customers in every region, so we will not be able to achieve anything if we don't reflect that in our colleagues too. Now, just to quickly talk about our philosophy and the mission and vision in the next slide, which we'll have, but in this one, which I really want to touch upon quickly, is what we're trying to achieve through our D&I agenda. There are 4 key things in our diversity, equity, and inclusion, which we do, is high performance team and innovation. That's the key. But how do we do that? That can only happen when we have a diverse team of people in the organization, and also the representation of the thoughts in everything that we do in the organization. That can also be achieved by bringing the customer market and investors and stakeholders. How do we increase that? Not just the customers, but the diversity of the customers, whether it's the ability side, whether it's a gender side, or it's race, it all mixed together. And that's how we support our colleagues, by learning from our customers, and customers learn from us. And then future-proofing the skills gaps, in case if there are any skills gaps there, and how do we break those barriers in bringing diverse talent and diverse thoughts in the process, so that we all can learn from them. And that is why you could see the culture representation that Vicky has brought in these discussions. For example, Valerie, Emmanuel, Heather, and many more. If you get an opportunity to meet and speak to us, you will understand what I'm talking. But also the brand and reputation. Have a look at our website, see what different customers we have, what a talent acquisition team and HR people business partner team are doing. We're very transparent as an organization, and when you bring everything together, we call it Belong. And that is why our diversity, equity, inclusion team is called Sage Belong. As I mentioned about the 4 strands in the past, these are the 4 major strands that we focus on, and these are gender equality, race and ethnic diversity, ability and accessibility, and LGBTQ+, which is lesbian, gay, bisexual, trans, queer plus community. So we have our colleague success networks also focusing each and every strands. We have our DI strategy, which is knocking down barriers linked to these strands. Now, all this starts with our own team, and we have to start the right thing at the right time. But sometimes we have to learn from our customers, from our colleagues, and we are committed to create an inclusive workplace culture through our personal ID collection data, which is called All About Us, or also talking about our CSNs, or even our feedback from our partners and communities and Sage Foundation, which is charities that we have. We give our colleagues 5 days paid leaves so that you can go and focus and contribute towards a charity of your choice, and that itself is the commitment that we have from the knocking down barriers aspect. As I mentioned earlier about the customers, we have 12,000 colleagues. We are having 1.592 million revenue with 2 million customers. I would say customer experiences that really counts, and that experiences help us to bring that DEI focus and agenda, and how do we actually progress in future and create an environment which is inclusive for you who is planning to join Sage, or people like who you have heard are already working with us. Next, please. Now, there are various things we try to achieve through inclusion, and there are a lot of innovative approaches we are taking. The All About Us is a project that we have deliberately in the organization where we can capture the diversity aspect of our colleagues. What is your race or culture, your ability? It helps us to design the D&I strategy and work with our colleague success networks and colleagues to progress our D&I agenda, and also reflect in our ways we do, whether it's a talent attraction or whether it's performance management or anything. We also make sure that our leaders, our managers who you will be working with are inclusive enough, or they understand what it means to be an inclusive leader. They go through a rigorous training. There are various programs, things are there in our learning and development tool. We collaborate with our partners to make sure that whoever we have in this journey as a colleague life cycle, they have the inclusive leadership touch points. And lastly, and the most important, is the colleague success network, which are the voice of our organization, which are the sound box of our organization, who listens to things. You watch things around and they give us a feedback, and which help us to shape the culture. I'm really looking forward to see any feedback or questions as such. If not, then Vicky and Anthony are there to help. Thank you for inviting, and I really appreciate it. Have a good evening.
Thanks for that, Nigel. That was great. And I think those presenters put me to shame for sure, Anthony. I don't know about you.
No, it's a good mix of presenters there, Victoria, and I think lots of energy as well. I'm jealous of the donuts, first of all, in the first picture. There's no donuts where I am today. But it's quite interesting when Emmanuel was telling us about his day, because he told us that he got frustrated a lot that his solution didn't work. But I don't think he ever told us that his solution works. So I'm assuming it did work, eventually.
I think so, yes.
I quite liked Valerie's overlooking the motorway, so it was good. I think one of the things that came out to me though is kind of like making your career work for you, and it's kind of like that was a really good element of the talk, and around you setting goals, but also asking of things that you need from an organisation. I think lots of people, especially in the sort of early stages of a career, is probably something that they're a little bit fearful of, asking for things that work for them, whether that be flexible working or whatever it may be. But it's good to hear some of that coming out there. So we have got some time for some questions. So I can see some coming in, but remember, if anyone has any questions, pop them in the Q&A on the right-hand side. So Victoria, just you and I. So let's have a chat. So first one that I can see here is, do you have to apply to work in a certain office?
So when the roles go live in February, they will say at the time whether they are Newcastle, Manchester, London, and so forth. Obviously, we've working in a hybrid way of working now, so we're not as hung up on role locations as we used to have to be. I think the hub of the activity for grads is actually Newcastle, but that's purely because of the numbers. You think we've got 1,800 people in the Newcastle office. In comparison to the others, that's a huge majority. But obviously, we would never want talent to be restricted by location. So if there's a particular site that you have in mind, I would always make sure that when you apply, you say, well, I can see the role's based in Newcastle, but I've got roots in London, and that's where I'd like to stay, and we would certainly discuss it.
Well, thank you. And in terms of work-life balance, how do you find that, and how do you think other colleagues at Sage find that?
Again, we're really proud of our work-life balance. Things like well-being days. You know, we had 3 well-being days throughout the pandemic because we were very conscious that all of a sudden people up laptops, went home, and were suddenly working longer hours from home without any coffee breaks and so forth. So they very kindly gave us 3 well-being days. Some people went off and did some sort of yoga in the park, whereas others just sat and did video game marathons for 3 days, which is entirely up to you how you choose to spend your well-being. I think healthy mind is very important with Healthy Mind First Aiders, and it's all about knowing, setting boundaries for yourself. Everybody at Sage is encouraged to have set times to work, take your lunches, take your breaks. And while there's some requirement sometimes to work longer hours, you should always be making sure that you've got a close time and go off and do things that you love in the evening.
Brilliant. And I think we saw that coming through really when Valerie was speaking as well, because the picture that we saw at the end of the day, 5 o'clock, it was nice. At 5 o'clock, she can switch off and go and enjoy the rest of her evening, you know. So
in front of the big Sage sign, that was a very cool picture, wasn't it?
So it's a good picture. Okay, so next question that we have here is, so what is career progression like at Sage?
Career progression is very structured. You'll be pleased to know. We have monthly lead reviews, which I heard touched upon earlier, and that's when you sit down one-to-one with your manager, talk about what's going well, and talk about where development needs are. We have annual reviews, of course, where we talk about your annual progression and what do you want to do next. You know, just because you've applied as a software developer, within 2 years, you could go into an associate role, or you could go, well, actually, while I was in there, I really found a passion for UX design. How can I develop into that? So I think at the stage of your career that you're at, it's far too young to know what you want to do as your forever role. And it's our duty at Sage to help you along the way. And if you decide 6 months into it, actually, I've got a passion for this, we will help you get there. Everybody is well and truly supported and encouraged to learn along the way.
Cool. Okay, thanks, Victoria. We've got a question here. I think it might be targeted at Nigel, to be honest, but it's around the I&D stuff. But I'm going to ask you, Victoria. So I imagine that I can see your private lanyard. I'm imagining that's what it is.
It is indeed. Yeah, it's a new shiny one.
It's good. But see, in terms of yourself, how do you get involved with the inclusion diversity groups, and do you get involved with the ones sort of around ethnicity from an ally perspective, or what does that look like for you?
Really good question. Along with Heather, I'm the co-lead for Pride at Sage, so I represent the LGBTQ plus community as a supporting ally. But I always say that you can't put yourself into one group. I'm an ally to all, so I'm also an ally to Embrace, our race and ethnic minority group. I'm an ally to Ability, which is our disability and neurodiversity network, family at Sage, and absolutely everything that I can throw myself into. We are encouraged at Sage, and it's just part of the natural person that wants to work at Sage to get involved with every aspect of DEI and promote it and champion it. And like I say, it's been built into our objectives this year as well. We have some very exciting strategic pillars coming out in December from Sage Belong. So there's all sorts of things going on. Everybody will fully immerse themselves, and everybody at Sage is an ally to at least 3 or 4 of the communities, which is fantastic.
Yeah, no, that's fantastic to hear. And good to hear that it's still got momentum. And in December, who knows, you'll be able to share more with us, perhaps a blog on the website.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, so I'm going to bring it to a close there, Victoria, then. So thanks very much to yourself and the team for talking about Sage and bringing that to life. I think we've got a feel for Sage as an organisation and the personality it has, which is great. So thanks, everyone, for joining, for your questions. And again, some time for you to go to the employer booths and engage with Sage and the other organisations. So thanks very much.
Thank you. We look forward to seeing you in the booth. Take care.
Yeah.